I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, this video might meander a little bit. There's a lot of moving parts here. You know, I've been inundated with comments and emails and Twitter private messages here asking for my opinion on the situation going on with the talk right now about the Liberal government, the federal government, doing away with the principal residence exemption. Now, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, taxes in general. For the first time that I can remember, I'm actually going to plug a website here that asked for my help in signing a petition called stepupnow.ca that I am going to support here, and I'm going to post a link in the text section here underneath this blog. So let's get right to it here. You know, the talk about getting rid of the principal residence exemption, which I've been touting here for 10 years, is one of the biggest and only tax advantages we get as Canadians, because you know, I've been talking about it for years here. We are taxed to death in this country. Now, that said, you know, I kind of talk about it tongue-in-cheek, how I have to keep the bar here come springtime when I'm doing my income taxes, have a bottle of tequila handy. I'm in a 50% tax bracket. I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to Revenue Canada. But, you know, hey, I'm a proud Canadian. We're blessed to live in a country like Canada. You know, I do well, and I don't mind paying for it, but I am under the belief that I do pay for it for sure, being in a 50% tax bracket. But I've talked about the advantage of the principal residence exemption. It's the only tax shelter we get in this country, where you can buy a principal residence, especially in a big city like Toronto or Vancouver, pay $1 million or $1.5 million for a detached home in East Vancouver. 30 or 40 years from now, that home's worth $4 million. All that capital gain flows out tax-free. Now, I've heard rumblings of removing this exemption, the principal residence exemption, for many, many years now. It kind of goes in ebbs and flows. And now, of course, coming out of the COVID situation and the Liberals announcing here a record-setting $360 billion deficit, they need money. We are broke. And we were broke before the COVID thing. I love how the Liberals and now the NDP just put out their budget provincially. You know, the COVID thing was a nice little deflection here, a little bit of smoke and mirrors here. This is the huge deficit we're running, but don't fall for it, folks. Both these governments were running huge deficits prior to COVID. This just helps them mask the problem. But now with this $360 billion deficit, they need money. So the latest is that CMHC, which the media uncovered here, you'll never hear the Liberals admitting or announcing any of this. Apparently they've funded a $250,000 study with a socialist academic at UBC by the name of Paul Keshaw, straight up socialist, and this generation squeeze to study removal of the principal residence exemption, as well as ways to tax homeowners over and above the heavy tax burden we already have as homeowners. So I'm going to give you a plug here. I had some people reach out to me. It's a website called stepupnow.ca. They posted an article there called Taxing You Out of Your Home. I want everyone to go and take a look at that article. I think it's a well-written article. It gives you the straight facts on who this Paul Keshaw is, what CMHC, and I think what the Liberal federal government's agenda is here. Now, they have come out and said, no, we are not going to remove the principal residence exemption. Now, I'm really getting worried, because of course that's what they're going to say. There's a petition there that you can sign, you know, and so I would please use the link, sign the petition. I did some good information there on, you know, this is kind of the last domino to fall here. The last thing they gave us as Canadians was the principal residence exemption. So here's my thoughts on this. Now, again, I have heard this rumor for many, many years now. It's picking up a lot more steam now that they've commissioned this study, that maybe they're going to get serious about it. So I'm not too sure right now what to make of it, to be quite honest with you. Part of me is thinking, you know, the principal residence exemption is pretty sacred. I've read a stat in this article with stepupnow.ca. You know, 76% of Canadians, 76% of Canadians' wealth is tied up in their principal residence, in real estate. And especially in the big cities like Vancouver and Toronto, the expensive cities. So it's a pretty sacred tax exemption. It's the only tax exemption we get here. I keep telling people we are crushed on our income taxes. Property taxes, which I'll get to in a minute, were, as you follow my blogs from 10 years back, we have it pretty good here as far as property taxes go in a city like Vancouver. At least we did. Now they're slowly starting to ratchet those up dramatically here in the city of Vancouver, city of Richmond, and most lower mainland municipalities. That was a bit of an advantage we had here. Our property taxes were low, but we got crushed on our personal income taxes. But now they're getting it both ways. They're going to kill us still on our income taxes, our income tax rates, and now they're going to ratchet up those property taxes as well. City of Vancouver's already announced double-digit increases here for the foreseeable future. The City of Vancouver's broke. It's a typical socialist setup here. The Liberals federally love to spend, love to tax, love to spend other people's money. Same thing with the NDP provincially, and the City of Vancouver you can throw in there for sure with our goofy mayor, Kennedy Stewart. This guy is pumping $1 million a day into the downtown east side. It's got to be paid for somehow. Let's tax the homeowners on it. They've got lots of money. They're fat cats. So part of me is thinking that, it's a sacred cow here with the principal resident. However, as many people have pointed out in the media here, don't put it past the Liberals here, because I've done many blogs here on the outside looking in. Real estate wealth, and especially the big time wealth in cities like Toronto and Vancouver, we're in the minority here. Most people in Canada-wide don't own a principal residence, or if they do, have very little capital gain in it. So we're in the minority as homeowners here, especially in cities like Vancouver, where we've got a lot of capital gain built up on our home. So, they're going to go with the numbers here. If more people are on the outside looking in, those people on the outside think this is the greatest idea ever. They love more taxes. Tax those rich homeowners because they all won the lottery. That's what they think. They think homeowners here all won the lottery and got lucky, which I'm going to get to in a minute. So tax them. They're all for it. These are the same type of people, same guys that don't like low interest rates. Who in the right mind wants interest rates to go up? I'll tell you who. It's people that are renting and don't have two dimes to rub together. They have no investments. They own no real estate, no rental income, nothing. They're the only ones that would want interest rates to go up. Call me old-fashioned, but I've been in 16.5% interest rates when I first started out in real estate 33 years ago. And now I'm in 1.99. Call me old-fashioned, I like the 1.99 better because I get my money working for me. I take advantage of those low interest rates. If you're not taking advantage of those, then you want to see these interest rates go up. You want to see taxes go up. You want property tax to go up. You want principal resident exemption to be eliminated. Apparently, according to this CMHC and this Paul Keshaw, they're also looking at some sort of an equity tax, if you can believe this. Something close to a 1% equity tax they're studying. So this will be on top of your property taxes. For properties over $1 million, they want to tax it at a certain rate, a 1% flat fee. So another $10,000 or $20,000 annually, even though you're not selling the house. If the house is valued over $1 million, they want to have an ongoing equity tax, apparently. Now again, this is just a study. This is just what we're hearing rumors about. But if you have a look at this guy's history, Mr. Keshaw here, and the generation squeeze, and the liberals, and the socialists, they'll tax you till you bleed. They're looking at any way they can here to get more money out of homeowners. Because, again, they look at homeowners, and if you listen to these generation squeeze people and, the complainers, everybody had it good. Everybody had it so good. They got lucky. They won the lottery. They bought that Renfrew detached home 10 years ago for $500K, and now it's worth 1.3. They got lucky. But they didn't get lucky. They worked hard for that home. They did it the right way. That's what these people don't understand. They want to tax people who have done it the right way. They've made the sacrifices. They've saved the down payment. They've hustled. They've moved up the corporate ladder. They started their own business. They saved 20%. They gave up the Canucks tickets. They gave up the holidays in Hawaii for 5 years. The choice is yours. That's what these people and what socialists don't understand. Life isn't fair. It's not going to be easy to buy your first detached home. It's not going to be easy to buy your first studio apartment. It wasn't easy for me 33 years ago. And it's not easy today, but it can be done. I've blogged about it many times. I've got young people with no help from mom and dad. Some of them are blue-collar workers making $50,000, $60,000 a year. And they've managed to save for the last 7 or 8 years, got a side hustle going, and made it happen. Because once you get the down payment, it's smooth sailing after that. Now you're in the market, and it's to support your mortgage is going to be the same as paying rent. It's nuts. But that's the thing these people don't understand. They want to tax people who have done it right. Ask me this. I still get pushback from people on my blog here saying that buying a home is not the way to go. And that's fine. Stay renting. Stay paying $2,300 a month for that one bedroom. Never knowing when you're going to get the phone call and the owner's telling you that he's going to sell or he's moving back in. Like, which way is it? You tell me that it's so much better renting and you should never buy, but yet the people that have done it right and have bought and have built up all these capital gains and are reaping the rewards of long-term home ownership, now these people are all mad because of all the gains you've got. So they want to take that from you now. It's just messed up thinking. And you're never going to get ahead in this world no matter what you're trying to do. Buy a house, save for retirement, learn how to play the guitar, whatever, if that's your mentality. You can't have it both ways. If you think renting is better, you stay as a renter. But don't be coming back later on saying, hey, it isn't fair, they won the lottery. Let's tax these guys to death. Get rid of the principal resident exemption. Add a 1% equity tax. It's nuts. Read the article that I'm going to post here. Sign the petition. Now, I don't know, again, if they're going to get rid of this principal resident exemption. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, first off. At my stage in my life, and I would advise most of you guys, don't worry too much about it. I think it'll probably stay here. It's going to be tough to get rid of it. What I could see, maybe, is a system like they have in the United States. The government is broke. I mean, $360 billion deficit and no end in sight here. Horrible, horrible governments here. Again, the government is not your friend. I've been advising you guys for 10 years here. Government's not your friend. Put your blinders on, save your money, pay your taxes. You're going to have some interaction with the government, unfortunately. You got to renew your passport and your driver's license, but after that, you're on your own. Don't rely on it for anything. I gave up on them 25 years ago. I'm not even going to... Old age security, done for me. I will never apply for it. Canada Pension Plan, I'm going to donate it. The little bit that they give me when I turn 65. I don't need them for anything. And it's liberating to be that way. And that's the way you should be as well. But I could see them doing something, a hybrid. It wouldn't put it past them. Something that they have in the States where, correct me if I'm wrong, in the US, if you're a single person, the first $250,000 is capital gains tax-free. If you're a couple, it's $500,000. Huge difference, though, between us and the States. In the States, sure, they cap the capital gains, but your interest down there, even on your principal residence, is all exempt. There's slowly, the few advantages we did have, which were offset by our massive tax rate we have to pay here as far as income taxes, is slowly getting clawed away. As I say, the property taxes are slowly getting up to where they are in the States. Remember, in the States too, I've talked about places like Florida where you don't have state income tax, just federal. Their tax rate there on income is half of what we pay here, but they kill you on the property tax in a state like Florida. $1 million condo here, you're probably paying about $4,000 a year in property tax, but that's been going up steady. In Florida, that same $1 million property would be about $20,000. But the difference is they get a huge break on their income tax. Here, we get crushed. And now they're slowly taking that away too, the one advantage on the slightly lower property taxes. But they're still a good deal. I'll have to admit, even when the city of Vancouver increases them 8, 9, 10% annually over the next 5 years going forward, they'll still be far less than what they are in a lot of US jurisdictions. So they might put some sort of a cap in on it. The other thing, I don't know, The fair way to do it would be if they did remove that principal residence exemption, they would grandfather in the gains that have been accumulated so far. But I doubt that, because that's trillions of dollars and they need that money. Probably be no warning at all and just do it. The other thing I see, I mean, a lot of people don't realize, that I could see them tweaking the capital gains tax in general, not the principal residence exemption, the capital gains tax rate. Right now it sits at 50%. A lot of people don't probably realize that, back a couple of decades ago, that was at 75%. And then thanks to the Conservative government, Stephen Harper, I believe, he reduced that down to 50%, which it sits at now. Liberals are probably eyeing that up big time and put that back up to 75%. We'll have to see. The Conservatives, I mean, look at the way we're going here. Back when the Conservatives were in power here back 6 years ago, Stephen Harper bumped our TFSA up to $10,000. Liberals immediately dropped that down to 55, and now we're at $6,000. Peanuts. They don't let us shelter any money here. You're capped on your RSP. You're capped at a pittance on your TFSA. Right now you can buy one share of Amazon and maybe a couple of shares of Apple, and you've maxed out your TFSA for the year. They don't give you anything. The principal resident exemption is the only real way to really build up some wealth there, tax-free. But we'll see. It's under threat. Have a look at this link, stepupnow.ca. Taxing you out of your home. Some good information there. They think us homeowners all won the lottery, of course. We all got lucky. You guys know it's the catalyst for my book 5 years ago, this socialist loser's way of thinking. They think that everything was given to homeowners in Vancouver here. The reason I wrote my book was an article about a guy. He was a baggage handler at Air Canada at the airport. He bought a detached home in Kitsilano for, at the time, it was like $265,000. His friends all thought he got ripped off on it. You're crazy. $265,000 for an old dilapidated home in Kits? He lived in the upstairs. It was a mess, one bathroom. He spent the next couple of years putting in a suite down and fixing it up, put a tenant in there, then lived upstairs for another 10 years in a dilapidated upstairs because he didn't have enough money to reno it. Finally renoed that. Him and his wife lived comfortably in that house for 30 years. Sold it for, I forget now, it was like $2.8 million. And this Globe and Mail writer thought it was obscene. He wasn't entitled to those gains. That's a loser's way of thinking. Plain and simple. Sorry to be blunt with you guys. Here's a guy that scrimped and saved for the down payment, hustled, worked all kinds of overtime at the airport. He wasn't making huge money, this guy. Put a lot of sweat and tears into the house, did a lot of the work himself on weekends, got a tenant in there. At that time he was paying, I think at the time he was paying 14 or 15% interest at the start. You can go onto these websites and you'll see some of these guys, they ignore these guys, these older guys that have got a lot of wisdom that will tell you all kinds of stories like that. How they sacrificed a lot to get into their first home and they've never looked back. This is what life is all about. It's not going to be easy buying your principal residence. It never will be. Generation squeeze and the CMHC and taxing us all to death is not the answer. You're going to find that out. Just so you know, these taxes, if they do decide to add a running equity tax, this will just be, if it's an investment unit, you better believe that that will be added on to your rent if you're a renter. I'm just going to pass any additional taxes on to my tenants. That's how it works. So any additional taxes they hit me with are going to bump up my rent prices, thus keeping renters perpetually and permanently on that renter's treadmill. It has the reverse effect of what a lot of people think. More taxes don't work, and we're already taxed to death here. Again, on that note, let me finish it off here. I joke tongue-in-cheek a bit about how, in the spring, I got to have my bottle of tequila here. I'm in a 50% tax bracket. So in other words, I work for the first 6 months of the year for free. The second 6 months, Revenue Canada lets me keep what I earn. Now listen, I'm a proud Canadian. We are blessed to be in a country like Canada. Oftentimes I'll get people that will email me, or people will comment on, I see people commenting in some of the internet blogs, saying that, I would buy another investment property, but I'm already making $150,000 a year at my job. I've got one rental property. I've got stock portfolio that's generating $40,000 or $50,000 a year for me in dividends. So I'm already creeping up to that 48 or 50% tax bracket. So I don't really want to buy another investment property because all the income is going to be taxed at the highest marginal rate. Well, don't think of it that way. That's a nice problem to have. And I'm telling you firsthand from my advice here as well. Sure, I pay a high tax rate, but it's a nice problem to have. In other words, I would rather pay 50%, be earning $500,000 a year and paying 50% on it, as opposed to earning $100,000 a year and paying 33%. The difference is I'm going to net $250 or I'm going to net $65. I'd rather net the $250. There's no getting around paying taxes. And again, I'm under the belief that I'm blessed to be a Canadian and have the opportunity where the sky is the limit here. But that said, it is a tough pill to swallow. It's like that old saying, everyone is a socialist until they get some success in their life. And this is totally true. Everyone is big on social programs, free education, free transit, free daycare. Lots of government programs coddle us until they graduate university, start a career, maybe start their own business, start investing, buying real estate, buying stocks. Next thing you know, you're in your 40s and you're making $250 or $300 a year, or even just making $125 or $150, and you start paying your taxes. And then it's tough. Then you need the bottle of tequila. And then everyone all of a sudden changes their tune on their outlook. They go from left swinging to right far more. Taxes aren't the answer. We're already pretty heavily taxed here. Again, I pay my taxes, proud Canadian, blessed to be in a country like Canada where I can earn the kind of money that I do. But homeowners in Vancouver, in Toronto, in most cities did not win the lottery or get lucky. If you dig a little deeper with these people, they've hustled, they've scrimped, they've made sacrifices to get into that home. They've done everything right. And the crazy thing is, I keep pounding here, which is it? You can't have it both ways. These guys inundate me with saying, you're crazy to be buying a home. Don't buy your principal residence. Rent, it's way better. Well, what is it? If renting is so much better, then why are you coming after these homeowners for all the gains they've made? I'll tell you why. Because you know full well it's not. Not when you're paying 2.2, 2.3% interest rates that are going to be like this for a decade or more. Makes no sense to be a long-term renter. Nothing wrong with being a short-term renter. But come hook or crook, you should be saving for your down payment if you're planning on living in a city like Vancouver for anything more than 5 years. You should be a homeowner. It's not even close. Have a look at this stepupnow.ca, taxing you out of your home. Some good information there. Taxes aren't the answer. I support these guys 100%. You guys should too. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, I'll see you next week.